Hey guys, Coach Becca here, and welcome to my post-race session. You don't need any equipment for today's workout, and our main goal is going to be to rejuvenate the body after a hard race, whether that's whatever a race means to you. Okay, so we're just going to start with our arms straight out, feet really, really wide outside the shoulders, and you're just going to shift all of your weight to one side and then the other side. Just taking some deep breaths here, just kind of checking in with how everything feels, maybe getting a little lower each time you go side to side. One leg is bent, that's the side we're putting all our weight on, and one leg stays completely straight. Nice work, and we're just gonna add in a little bonus progression here if you'd like. Place one hand, the same hand as the leg that you're on the floor, and stretch the opposite arm overhead. And let's try that on the other side. Just a quick little push here to really kind of open things up. Really nice job. We're gonna do just a regular forward bend next, so hands to the floor or to your knees or wherever feel comfortable to you. Stretching out the hamstrings and lower back. Begin to walk the feet together and slowly stand. I'll just turn to the side here for this next one. We're gonna do an inchworm. So that just means forward bend, walk out into a plank position. Once you're in plank, you're gonna roll your ankles forward and then roll it back and walk your hands back, keeping your legs as straight as possible. Obviously, depending on how your body feels, whatever you did in the last 24 hours that made you choose a workout titled post-race session, you'll get more or less mobility out of your body, more flexibility, more or less stability, all of that. So if you need to bend the knees, if you're really, really tight, give your body a little grace today. We're just walking out to a hand plank, rolling from the toes, trying to straighten those ankles out. Just a bonus little ankle extension. Ankle mobility there. After 5, so we've got just about one more here, we're going to go into some cat and cow for the spine. So kind of just touching base with each joint, each muscle group, seeing how everything feels, how everything's recovering. And let's bring it on down to the knees here. Let's take some really big deep breaths here and just work on spine mobility. So again, just focus on breathing and kind of moving from your pelvis through your spine into your neck, and even kind of finishing at the chin. Really try to connect the bottom half of your body to the top half of your body while taking deep breaths. And that's kind of what I like to focus on while doing cat and cow. It's such a simple movement, kind of a daily movement, that we can take a lot of those little movement cues for granted. So just encourage you to find a few extra spaces and connect a few extra dots here today, especially if you're feeling really beat up. All right, awesome job on cat-cow, and now we're going to kind of move into what I call world's greatest progression or variation. So we're just going to do this half kneeling. I'll kind of show you from a diagonal here. Half kneeling hip stretch. Once you get into a good position, interlock your fingers. Put your arms overhead and push deeper into the stretch. If you've got a really tight lower back, maybe omit this part, but this is something we can get into a little bit more deeply in the kneeling position. So I like to add this in when I'm really sore. Go ahead and bring both hands to the floor and then begin to go into some T-spine rotations. So if your right leg's forward, it's your right arm that's reaching through the bottom hand and then up to the sky. Just pausing wherever you feel extra tight. Again, working on hip and spine mobility here. Looks great. And go ahead and just plant both hands and straighten the leg out as best you can. If you have yoga blocks or pillows that you need to use here, that's fine. Just hit pause and get that lower back and hamstring a little bit of extra love here. All right, awesome job. And we're just going to do that same progression on the other side. If you've done my workouts in the past, I'll do this world's greatest series in a little bit more higher tempo, but today we're going to really break it down. So again, start with that half kneeling hip stretch. If you can, interlock the fingers and take it into like half kneeling, maybe a warrior, or I don't know, I guess I don't have a name for all these, but just a nice progression here for the lower back and hips. Okay, bring the hands down, and we're going to take it into some spine work. So if the left leg's forward, the left hand reaches through and then towards the sky. Doing about 5 of these, all while taking deep breaths, pausing anywhere you need to for an extra stretch. And we're going to take that into that hamstring and lower back stretch now. So just slowly begin to straighten that leg as best you can. It might be a little uncomfortable here, especially if you had a big race, maybe a marathon, maybe your day was just a marathon. We can all define a race a little differently. So even if you're not per se an athlete or didn't just finish a race, your body can still be really tired and fatigued. So lots of love and grace on the body today. All right, we're going to do one of my favorite movements now. We're just going to sit kneeling. If this doesn't feel comfortable to you, you can also just sit in a chair and do this. You're going to round your spine forward and then begin to just rotate, leading kind of with the top of your head. So it's almost like cat and cow plus rotation. Come around to the other side till you're back to kind of that neutral, kind of seated cat position, and then begin to rotate, rounding out the shoulders, kind of in that seated cow. Rotate to the other side, all the way around and back to the center. So kind of think, I'll show you from the front here, we'll do 2 more rounds. Kind of think about how you can rotate, open up your shoulders as you flex and extend your spine here to find just some sore spaces and kind of create a little bit of extra movement maybe where there wasn't prior to doing this, and kind of tying the breath in with it as well. Don't overthink it. We're basically just trying to make our back and spine feel better. So do what you have to do here. And you could do this seating if kneeling isn't available to you today. Awesome. Hopefully you feel better after spending some time working on your spine. We're going to come on down to the floor here. And we're just going to take the hands and put them together on the lower back. The higher up, the more challenging it's going to be for your mobility. So what we're going to do here is squeeze our glutes and core, squeeze our shoulder blades, straighten out our arms using our triceps, and rotate our palms overhead. I'm just going to exhale here, inhale again, rotate the palms back, squeeze those triceps, palms up at the top, interlock the fingers, exhale, rest. Okay, we're going to inhale, squeeze the glutes, core, and shoulder blades, straighten up the arms using the triceps, rotate the palms overhead, kind of while suspending that breath. Exhale. Inhale, begin to rotate the palms back, straighten the arms, palms up at the top, and exhale, relax. We're going to do 1 more round. Feet can stay on the floor here. Squeeze glutes and core, squeeze shoulder blades, straighten the arms, rotate those palms overhead. Find your breath pattern, slowly rotate the palms back. Palms are up at the top. Had a bug on me there, sorry. Bend the elbows and relax. Awesome. And we're just going to do a little upward dog stretch here. You can do level 1 on the elbows or level 2 with the arms extended. And if you'd like to add in some neck mobility or just some neck stretches, just keep those shoulders away from your ears if you can. Feet are flat, just taking some big deep breaths, stretching out the hips and the core muscles. Very good. We're going to do a calf stretch now in kind of the downward dog position. So hips up nice and high, cross one leg, and just kind of focus on the heel that's pressing towards the floor, and find a position where you can get that heel all the way down. Just manipulate your body so you can feel a calf stretch or an Achilles stretch. And then let's do about 15 seconds on the other side. Just keeping those hips high, finding kind of as many stretches as you can into one if you feel up for it. Maybe your hamstrings and back and lats get a little extra here as well. And then we're just going to kind of pedal those feet out a little bit, just really giving the calves and lower body a lot of love. Walk those hands in. You can go ahead and stand up nice and tall when you feel ready. If you want to pause here and forward bend for just a beat, that's fine. But let's bring it up and move on to our next movement, which is a progressive quad stretch. Grab the ankle. The opposing arm is just straight up, and just begin to hinge at your hip, reaching down, softening the knee slightly. Reach as far as you can down while still focusing on stretching your quad, and then slowly begin to come back up. Let's do that on the other side. If the quad stretch like this isn't available to you, you can just do a standing quad stretch, or you could use a wall and prop your foot up onto a wall and find a quad stretch from there, or a chair. Again, hinging, softening that knee, and really keeping the focus on your quad. Slowly come back up. That one's just kind of nice because it kind of shows you where your stability is at as you recover. And for me, as somebody that's just suffered a ankle injury, I really like to check in on that. So, all right, feet nice and wide. Pack our shoulder in. Moving into this one pretty quick. We're going to do a little windmill. This one's in a lot of my workouts. So you're rotating through the spine and shoulder and reaching towards the ground. So my right arm is up and my left arm is reaching straight down between my legs. You can bend the knee if you need to slightly, especially if you're really stiff, but focus on stretching the hamstrings, the hips slightly, but really a lot of rotation and stretching through the spine and shoulder. One more. And then we're going to take this into a shoulder car or shoulder rotation movement. So just kind of big giant circles essentially is what we're going to do. So think about kind of starting with your palm neutral, bring the arm straight up, rotate the palm at the top, reach into the back pocket, isolating your shoulder as much as you can. Try to avoid really opening up your shoulders to get more movement. As in don't rotate through your spine, if that makes sense. You really want to make that shoulder do all the work. So if you're doing a lot of upper body movement, sometimes the shoulder gets a little bit lost. So let's switch to the other side, pack that shoulder in, give it a little tap to make sure you know what you're working. And then let's just do a nice stretch towards the floor. So it's going to be about 5 or 6 windmills and then 3 shoulder cars. Perfect movement to just find a little space to inhale, hold, and then exhale. Again, still a great stretch for the hamstrings while getting the hips, spine, and shoulder lots of love. Take your time and just pause where you need to if you're feeling a little bit of a sticky spot. All right, let's just take it into, we'll start at the bottom here. It's a little easier to cue. So lift the arm straight up, rotate the palm. Again, I like to just kind of place one hand to kind of remind myself to avoid really opening up there. I want that left shoulder, my left shoulder right now, doing all the work and just kind of seeing how that feels. As somebody that swims a lot, just had to, race in the swim pretty hard. I want to see how my shoulder's recovering. So I'm going to focus on that joint here. Nice job. All right, we're going to give the hips some attention. So come on down to the ground. You can sit on a pillow here if you need to. I'm going to get a little supervision from my dog Brownlee. Your legs stay at 90 degrees, hips and the knees stay at 90 degrees. And all we're doing here is just kind of switching sides or rotating the knees to the other side. So your hips kind of stay on the floor. You can just leave the hands behind you. Your feet pretty much stay in one position unless you're kind of rolling around on the ground and need to reposition. But you can bring the feet further away from you or closer to you, just kind of based on how your body feels. So again, the focus is on the hips. You're just kind of laying the knees from one side to the other. And that's where the hips get the action. So 90-90 seated hip rotations. It's in a lot of my workouts. If you need to just pause anywhere that feels tight, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do a few final movements here. So feet stay on the ground, one arm behind you. Just drive the hips and reach straight up towards the sky, and then switch arms. There's a little progression I'll show you here, but this is just kind of a nice exercise that really gets the glutes going, opens the hips, opens the spine, gets a little shoulder stability in. It's just a nice movement. Here's that progression if you want to give the lats and shoulder a little more love. So just straight up, palm reaches overhead. And you can continue doing that variation if you'd like. We're just going to do about 10 to 12 of these here to kind of energize our body. And I don't know, maybe if you're feeling a little rusty or a little heavy, this might rev things up a little bit, get the blood flow going, which again is our focus today, just rejuvenation. Just checking in. Okay, 2 stretches now. We're going to do a butterfly stretch and a Hollywood stretch. So knees out, anchor yourself on your ankles and just kind of lean in, giving your back and hips some love. Taking a couple deep breaths, and then we'll go Hollywood stretch. So cross one leg over the other and turn towards the knee that's bent. Usually a good time to reflect on what you did recently performance-wise, whether that's a race or, work or maybe relationships. Just a good time to say, what did I do well and what would I like to do better moving into my next training block or chapter of my life. And that's just kind of a nice time to do it. All right, guys, bring it on up. You're done for today. Thanks so much for joining me. See you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date on new workouts. See you soon.